Hello wrestling fans, this is Venom and today we're going to discuss 10 of the most famous wrestling urban legends.
Are you ready?
Psycho Sid's sack-seeking squirrel story. There are so many great stories about wrestler Psycho Sid that we could probably tell 10 urban legends about him. This one defies belief, but given what we know about Sid, it fits into the definition of urban legend. An often lurid story or anecdote that is based on hearsay and widely circulated as true. According to the story, Sid had a pet squirrel that he kept with him during his time on the road. Apparently, some of his fellow wrestlers dared him to put it down his pants. Sid took the dare and immediately regretted the decision as his pet proceeded to go on a seek and destroy mission for Sid's private parts. There are multiple Kanes. Masked wrestlers make it easy to give someone the night off when a similar-looking wrestler can don the mask and fill in for them. Here, rumors abound that the Big Red Machine hasn't always been played by Glen Jacobs, who, ironically, began playing a fake Diesel in 1996 until WWE scrapped the angle. While fans know there was a storyline fake Kane, aka Luke Gallows, this legend states that other wrestlers have filled in for Kane. No reason has been given why or any names mentioned, but this one seems to be picking up steam despite no fuel for the proverbial fire. Bruiser Brody was hired to ruin WrestleMania. When Vince McMahon announced his WrestleMania extravaganza, rival promoters were not thrilled, particularly since it meant bad news for them. Some were so angry they reportedly conspired to hire legit wrestling badman Bruiser Brody to attack Mr. T on his way to the main event, taking him out of the match featuring him and Hulk Hogan against Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. Brody was nowhere to be seen and WrestleMania's main event went as planned, changing the wrestling world forever. Roddy Piper killed wrestler Rick McGraw in the ring. In 1985, Roddy Piper was at the top of the wrestling world's most hated lists, remaining a thorn in WWE Champion Hulk Hogan's side and enraging WWE fans on his Piper's Pit talk segment. Mid-card wrestler Rick McGraw showed up on Piper's Pit, asking why Piper never wrestled on TV. The two met the next week in a match that turned into a massacre for McGraw. Piper took McGraw apart, delivering a brutal barrage that led to the referee stopping the bout and Piper proclaiming, "Now you know why they don't let me wrestle on television." McGraw sold the attack as if he'd come close to death. Shortly after the match aired in syndication, McGraw died at the young age of 30, leading some fans to believe he died due to injuries sustained at the hands of Piper. With kayfabe still going strong, it's easy to see why. However, McGraw was reportedly battling drug and/or steroid abuse, which may have led to his untimely demise. The Ultimate Warrior died and was replaced by an imposter. This wrestling rumor goes back to the Ultimate Warrior's return to WWE following his departure at 1991 SummerSlam. When Warrior returned at WrestleMania 8, some fans noticed the Warrior looked different. His hair was blonder and cut differently, and his musculature wasn't quite the same as it was before. Even with the internet in its infancy, rumors spread that the Ultimate Warrior had died and been replaced by a look-alike. One theory claimed he died of liver failure from abusing steroids, while one far-fetched claim were that his arm tassels were on too tight, cutting off his blood circulation and killing him. The truth was, the Warrior was training differently and simply chose a different look. Ironically, WCW would try and pass wrestler Rick Wilson off as the Ultimate Warrior, dressing him in a warrior-like outfit, painting his face, and sending him out with music reminiscent of the Ultimate Warrior's WWE days. Ox Baker killed 2 wrestlers with the Heart Punch. Back before every wrestler had a finisher, the Heart Punch was a handful of finishers used by a select group of wrestlers. Former WWF champion Stan Stasiak and veteran Ox Baker both employed the Heart Punch, but Baker would be credited with killing 2 men with his Heart Punch. The first incident occurred in 1971 during a tag team match between the team of The Claw and Ox Baker versus Enrique Torres and Cowboy Bob Ellis. Baker hit The Claw and Torres collapsed to the mat, dying in a hospital 3 days later. In 1972, Baker fought Ray Gunkel, hitting the Heart Punch but losing the match. However, Gunkel collapsed in the locker room, dying from a heart attack. In both instances, Baker was said to have killed the wrestlers, and promoters played into this to build up Baker's character, although promoter Joe Dusick initially gave The Claw the dubious honor of killing Torres. In both cases, there were contributing factors for both wrestlers' death. In Torres' case, he had a ruptured pancreas he did not tell promoters about. The pre-existing condition proved to be a ticking bomb that exploded that night during the match. In Gunkel's case, there is some truth to the legend. After Mr. Gunkel's death, doctors discovered that the fallen wrestler suffered from a life-threatening case of arteriosclerosis. This arteriosclerosis made it possible for a worked heart punch to actually kill Ray Gunkel. Piecing the evidence together, doctors believe that Ox Baker's worked heart punch formed a blood clot in Mr. Gunkel's body, leading to his death later that evening. WWE superstars gave Jerry the King Lawler's crown the royal treatment. When Jerry Lawler entered the WWE in the early 90s, it was payback for the wrestlers who felt Lawler had taken advantage of them when they worked in his Memphis promotion, which was notorious for its low pay. Some stories have it that Lawler was arrogant when he entered the WWE, giving the impression that his shit don't stink. Apparently, some superstars decided to show Lawler that while his shit might not stink, theirs did. Lawler returned from a Royal Rumble match to discover several people had shit in his crown, letting him know he was no longer in his kingdom. Christy Hemme hunted Hunter? Triple H is no stranger to cheating on a girlfriend, as he pursued Stephanie McMahon while he was in a relationship with Chyna. Here, Trips allegedly was involved in a private diva search with Christy Hemme, an affair that led to Hemme getting future endeavored once Stephanie McMahon discovered what was going on. Hemme, who appeared in Playboy during her WWE run, went to TNA and can be found on the independent wrestling circuit. Shawn Michaels was Vince McMahon's personal sexy boy. This legend seems to have started when Road Warrior Hawk claimed Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels' relationship was more than just employer and employee. Of course, Hawk was seething with rage at WWE when he made the remark. Another person with an axe to grind was Bret Hart, who alleged Shawn and Vince were more than just friends. Vince also reportedly made sure HBK got paid his regular salary when he was unable to work due to his back injury after 1998's Royal Rumble. Michaels also appeared in the magazine Playgirl, reportedly unaware that the magazine was read by gay men. This is one urban legend that's unlikely to die, so we'll end this with the immortal words of Paul Stanley from Kiss. You can bang thousands of women, but act a little effeminate and everyone makes assumptions. And the #1 wrestling urban legend is Randy Savage had an affair with a young Stephanie McMahon. This legend has picked up a lot of steam over the last 15 years or so much that fans are hoping Stephanie McMahon addresses it in her rumored memoir. In case you haven't heard it, the story is Randy Savage had just been divorced from Miss Elizabeth. Around 1993 or 1994, young Stephanie, age 17, the age of consent in some states, was smitten with 40-something Macho Man and had a fling. Savage left the WWE in 1994 quite suddenly, which would add to the legend. During the Monday Night War, Savage reportedly was negotiating with the WWE for a return, only for Stephanie to plead with Daddy Vince not to take him back. The reason was due to Savage's dalliance with Stephanie, something that, according to legend, led to Vince saying he'd never hire Savage again. No one has confirmed the story, and it seems unusual that the WWE would induct Savage into its Hall of Fame if the story is true. There has been rumor and innuendo by various parties in the wrestling industry, but nothing by the parties involved. Since Savage is no longer with us, we can only wait for an unlikely coming out from Steph McMahon.
If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to let us know your opinion in the comments below.